If you've ever worked with me or you ever work with me in the future, you will know how much importance I put on writing pure functions. And it doesn't matter which programming language you are doing, writing pure functions is your bread and butter as a programmer. So every time you write some code, you should look at it and try and extract it into a pure function and then continue writing it. And if you are writing a function that doesn't have any return values, has side effects, you should try and extract as much code as possible into pure functions. So you don't need to test pure functions, basically. As long as they take the same parameters or the same arguments all the time, and they always return exactly the same result, there's no need to test them because they're pure. So you need to be able to work out when a function is pure from the offset, all right? If you're unsure whether it's pure, then relook at it because it should always do exactly the same thing. So there's 10 examples here of showing pure functions, and there is no requirement whatsoever to test these functions because they are pure, which makes them 100% correct every single time. So add, we take A plus B, right? If you give 4 and 2, that will equal 6 every single time, right? If you put 2 and 4, so if you make A 2 and B 4, it will equal 6 every single time. So in this example, it doesn't matter which way round this you do, you will still get the same results, all right? So this is pure from the offset, all right? As long as the A and plus B or B plus A is inside of this one body, you know it's pure. Multiplication is exactly the same as addition. It doesn't matter which order the two integers are supplied, as long as the function body says x times by y or y times by x, it doesn't matter, it will still have the same result. 5 times 2 is 10, 2 times 5 is 10, it doesn't matter. This is a pure function. Concatenate. Now, this is where things get different, all right? As long as the first string is always the first string and the second string is always the second string, when you concatenate these two strings together, it will always equal the same thing. Now, as long as the first string contains exactly the same uppercase and lowercase characters than it did before. So if we then use David and then James, as long as it has a capital D, A, V, I, and D is all lowercase, and capital J and A, M, E, and S is all lowercase, and there's no spaces before and after, this will always create exactly the same result, all right? Now, if you decide to make the second the first, then obviously this is not going to be the same result, but as long as the first result is always the first result when used, then it will always produce the same outputs. Square as well. You only take one parameter and it doesn't matter in which order this goes in because number times by number is always the same result. So this is a pure function once again from the offset, from the beginning. It just doesn't matter. There's no way or order that you can do this. It will be a pure function. So the absolute value, right, is in this case, if you use the parameter, say like -10, then it's going to say is the value more than 0. If it is, then it is already an absolute value. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to convert that one negative number into a positive number, and it will always be pure. So if you add 10 there, it will return 10. If you add -10, it will return 10 all the time. So this is another a pure function, right? It's always going to have that. The string length, as long as the same string is added. Now, this could be capital letters and lowercase letters, but as long as all the letters are exactly the same, right? It doesn't matter about order this time, but as long as it contains the same count as letters, then this will be a pure function as well. And you don't need to test it as long as this always returns the count of that one string. Max, once again, this now does matter. Well, the max, if you do then 5 and then 10 right here, if A is more than B, so if 5 is more than B, right, then return A. Well, if that's 5 and 10, then it's not. A is not more than 10, so it would return 10. So now if you put 10 in A, if 10 is more than 5, return that one. So it doesn't really matter which order you put them in, because 10 will always be returned if you put a figure less than 10 in it. So this is just a pure function as long as it's written correctly. And the min works the complete opposite here. Now, factorial as well, it's a mathematical function. As long as the mathematics is done correctly, it doesn't matter which n you add to this, the factorial return value will always be exactly the same. And that also goes for the reverse in the string. As long as all of the letters and their cases are the same, and the order that it goes, that it adds, that you give the reverse function is the same, then the return value will always be the same as well. But if you start messing around with the content of that string, of course it's not going to be the same, but that doesn't stop it from being a pure function. It just means that you're giving it a different input, which will make a different output. All right, so that's the two difference. If you manipulate the input, you should get a manipulated output as well, relative to the manipulated input. But if you keep giving the same manipulated input over and over again, it will output exactly the same manipulated output over and over again, making it a pure function. So I've put this is a bit more of an advanced topic now, but I've put it within inside of the functions because this is so important that you understand this from the beginning when you're starting to learn to program any language. When you write a function, doesn't matter what it is, make it pure, right? And if you can't make it pure, it has side effects. And if it has side effects, try and remove as much of the purity as possible until you are left with the thing that you cannot test anymore, all right? It's the one thing that will always produce different results, all right? And that's the whole point. If that one function will randomly produce different results, it's not pure and it's not very easy and it's nearly impossible to test, okay? With that said, I hope that you've liked this, or I hope you've got something out this one video. If any of these 49 videos I've made so far, I would put of the most highest importance, I put this one. And probably for the future videos as well, I still put this one at the top because this will help you write clean, testable code all the time, all right? All the time. And it will remove lots and lots of bugs from your code because you just wrote pure functions from the beginning, all right? With that said, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this one video, and do all of the other social media things that you can do with it. Other than that, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And if you do have any questions, feedback, or concerns, let's start a conversation in the comment section down below. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.